Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Live. How are you? Well, what a week, huh? I know on my channel that you're watching has been, well, let's say a dose of heavy reality. So I thought tonight that I would have Sherry Spear on. And Brian, hello. How are you? I just want to say hello to all the moderators. Claudette, how are you doing? Kaz Hawk, how are you doing? Sarah. So we have Sherry Spear. Sherry, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's actually Spears with an S.
Spears, okay.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I was remembering the first time that we actually met, and you were very shy. I remember that.
I'm trying to push myself back out of that again.
Okay, all right, but it's really good to see you coming out. And I thought that maybe there's the planet is in bad shape. I mean, that's been well documented. But as you and I were talking before we went live, is what we can actually do is saying, all right, we may have an untenable situation here. All right. And there are powers greater than us individually that sometimes you can feel like you're the ant trying to move the basketball.
Yep.
Very difficult. But what I liked about our conversation, Sherry, and by the way, I did get your package. Thank you very much.
Yay, good.
I want to show everyone. Isn't this beautiful? Now, these are Canadian geese feathers, right?
Baby geese, yep. When they come to the pond and they start to molt and they leave a whole bunch around it. And I ended up collecting those years ago, knowing that they were going to be for somebody, but
Wow.
I didn't know who. And the wooden part, actually, I found a couple of months ago. I was walking one of the dogs and I looked down and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I picked it up and it fit in my hand perfect. And it was like through me going, for Wayne. The feathers are for Wayne. So I hand carved, and like we used to do way back in the day with the knife in the tree.
Yeah.
And then I did the tie-dye for you because of your tie-dye days, and then the little bell. And
I just
how does it
love
fit in your
this.
hand? It's balanced.
It
I've
is.
used it in some ceremonies, so it's been
So
on my crystal skulls. So it's highly, highly attuned. Highly attuned.
it's got great energy to it. That's what I can say. Just
And it,
tremendous energy. And thank you. And for the other two gifts as well. Lynn says to say thank you as well.
you're so welcome.
So you and I were talking, and you were making an observation. Hi, Suji, how are you doing? That in 2015, you kind of went offline when others started coming out in, a much more awakened state. Rex, myself, Jeff, others. And I'm curious, why did you decide to go offline? What was it? Because you had done research for how many years?
Forever. It seems like
Okay.
it just seems like I've been doing research my whole life. But when I was a teenager, I pre-warned my friends that you better start treating the earth nice. Because one day, and I used to call her Mother Nature because that's all I knew back then. I was like, Mother Nature is going to wake up, and when she does, for those that don't treat her nice, are gonna get, like a mom when she gets mad, she's going to ground you or punish you or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my terms were as a teenager. And my friends thought I was nuts. Well, look at today, what's happening. I was well aware of this as a teenager. And so I instantly was attuned to the indigenous because I knew that they had the truth of what to do and prepare for, not to be afraid. But yet, obviously, we know the knowledge has been like ripped apart all over the world and
Yeah.
stolen and trashed and
Yeah.
yada yada. We all know that story. But there's one thing that's forgotten. I know a lot of people are understanding the Akashic records, and
Yes.
I had like no clue what that meant. I had to go figure out, and it took me like 10 years to figure out what does that mean to me. So being in tune to so much stuff and being aware of it already 2015, like you asked, I was really reading into some dark stuff. And that's when G. Helm was going on and this and that. Jade Helm, I mean. We had something in Michigan, and my poor kid saw, I mean, like we saw an armored little tank, and we saw like black cop or choppers, and we saw a lot of stuff going through by here. And it scared my kid. Okay. And I was already buying like repair stuff, safety stuff, just in case, you know, because of tornadoes. We get tornadoes where we're at, or because of, I don't know, the bill, whatever. So a neighbor could have a fire, you know, and that
Mm-hmm.
could happen. So I wasn't trying to scare my son, but along with that, his dad started learning. Well, he got like a little nervous and worried about it. So we had like little scare factors. But then all of a sudden, when all this like other stuff started going through town, and I'm picking up what the people are feeling, I'm picking up what my son's feeling. I'm reading like there seems like no hope. I mean, from like what people are hearing now about like, you know, the really gross stuff in our government, Hollywood, yada, yada, yada. I was learning that stuff would go way back, you know. So by the time 2015 came, I just, I like felt like a collapse, like I was done. I just was like, okay, I'm going to only use my cell phone to text my kids. I don't even want to read anything good or positive. I just want to withdraw from everything. This is like nuts. And then I kind of like went into, I was also helping a friend, I was helping other people. And I realized that I extended myself beyond me, that all of a sudden my body, even though I was still doing spiritual like uh courses or learning from my Maya elder or learning from the Inca, and but 15 I just went completely. But then in 2017 I had uh I became a Karuna Holy Fire Reiki master. um but I thought I was done. I thought I was done with the spiritual stuff. I thought I was done with that because my like whole body was falling apart. I mean, at one point, I actually honestly thought I was gonna die. That I was like upset, going, "Oh my God, I don't want to die." I flipped my rib. I'm laying in bed. Yeah, that was not fun at all. From coughing, grabbing the counter. So if you ever have to cough and grab the counter, don't do it. You might flip a rib.
Wow. That
Yeah, so I
is,
had physical stuff happening to me that I what I realized was that my daughter, actually, I think she had moved out by then, really wise kid, said, "Mom, you never had you. You're always for everybody else. You know what? You need to take care of you. Even though you're doing all your spiritual work or you're doing this or that, you help the neighbors, you help whatever, that you forgot you." And I'm
I
like,
did a
"Oh,
video on that.
yeah, I saw that."
Yeah.
And I'm
Have
like,
you
"Oh
learned to be
man,
you?
that was hard to
Yeah.
like find me again in a way, even though I thought I was doing it, but like really find me, because she was right. I never had, because I have two sets of like families. I had kids when I was 24 and 27. That was my two older ones. And now I have 13, almost 13-year old. So I have two
Oh, isn't
generations.
that fun?
Oh yeah. I know at 38, my mom was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know. This is something meant to be." So yeah, here we
I
are.
read today that a woman at 67 is pregnant.
Yeah, I was
And
38 and I thought that was bad.
I'm going,
Seriously.
67? Sister, what are you thinking?
You know what's strange is, okay, think about this though. Okay, as you look at yourself in the mirror, or you see me, or some of like Jeff, and like he looks so good now, and some of the other people, we don't look like the people that looked like when we were younger. Do you remember women that were 45, 50, little old gray hair
Yeah,
ladies,
I
and
do. Yeah, I really
everyone
do.
aged old faster? And
Hmm.
if we look at ourselves, we're not aging faster. Seriously, we're
Yeah.
not. Even though all of the other stuff is happening to us. At one time, this is one of my jokes with the spraying of the sky stuff. And I was reading, I was documenting it here in town when I started noticing it coming to Michigan. And my son goes to an alternative school. And I was pointing up, going, "Do you guys notice this?" And they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, even at an alternative school where you think that people are open-minded, they're still not." You know what I'm saying?
No, no. And
So
I'm like Jack, I do a lot of weights. I work out intensely with weights. And um, yeah, it's where you stand chronology wise, in Earth days. I'm 23,000 days and counting. But oddly enough, you can actually do tests now that'll actually give you what your body really is in actual years.
That's cool.
And it is cool. And for myself, it's about 12 years behind what my actual age is.
See,
So, maybe there's something into that. I don't know.
there
Uh,
is something into it. It's the more that more people wake up and the more that we are understanding what happened to us, and the more people that are like upset and angry right now because they're waking up and they're
mm-hmm,
seeing what is being just like a band-aid. You rip it off and there's this icky sore underneath still that you got to look at it. And
mm-hmm.
like when I had my accident with my leg, I was in the burn trauma unit for 19 days.
What
And
happened?
I was carjacked on, let's see, October 18th, 1998. I was carjacked, run over at a gas station. Didn't even know I was, did a flip turn, jumped up and headed into the gas station. So anyways, long story short, ended up in the burn trauma unit for 19
No, wait
days.
a minute, man. This is like one of the Seinfeld uh, shows. What I'm hearing is Elaine saying, and I got my leg burned and yada, 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 yada. And I'm going, well, wait a minute. I'm trying to figure out how the leg got burnt.
I got run over by my own truck. This guy took it. No, the
So
thing was,
let's go from the beginning. You were carjacked.
oh yeah. Well, see, okay,
That
look.
sucks, number one.
Well, I took responsibility though on that day because it was also my temper. Because I saw the young man running towards the truck, and I was a bartender slash waitress, so and a mom, single mom with two kids, and nobody was going to steal my truck. I worked hard for everything. I didn't get child support, nothing. So I mean, and I was working towards actually getting a house for me and my kids, and
Excellent.
so this guy was
So
going to
you
steal
weren't
my
going to be a
truck.
victim.
Right. Oh, no, I was going to beat his butt.
All right. Go,
Because
girl.
I've taken martial arts and stuff, and I grew up as a tomboy. And in my
I love
neighborhood, there was
this.
only boys. There was only boys in my neighborhood. So I was a tomboy.
All right. Well, continue on.
So that was my mistake. And so when he was driving off, my hands were jarred underneath the handle because he locked the door and was yelling, "Get off the truck." And I'm like, "That's my
Oh,
truck." I grabbed
yeah.
the side as he started driving to grab myself. And what happened was when I finally released to let go, I let go and tucked and rolled. And when I tucked and rolled, my left leg got out. And so the tire must have caught like where the knee bends and just drove right off from it. And people
Ouch.
were screaming like, "Oh my God, she got run over." And I'm like, "Who got run over? I'm late for work. My truck is stolen. Why did I should have drove my car. I had a car, but I wanted to drive my truck." And the thing is, I was awake the whole time. I mean, I found out later on through plastic surgery in Detroit that my body doesn't like morphine. It just flushes it right out.
Mm-hmm.
But in 98, they didn't know that. So they were saying, like, "Oh, you must be an alcoholic." And I was like, "No, I serve drinks to people that are alcoholics, but I'm not, and I'm not anything
My
else."
body won't tolerate opioids. Never have been able to.
Yeah, well, my body rejects everything. I mean, like certain things that they put me on, I would get sick and reject it because it's like something I've been this way my whole life. Like certain things,
Yeah,
doctors or food,
yeah.
they tell you what, and I'm like, I can't. I'm sorry. I've been told that when I was younger, I'm not an American because I didn't like McDonald's. No, or any of those fast food restaurants. I never did. I never liked them. No, I
So you
still
were
no.
19 days in the hospital?
In the burn trauma unit at the U of M hospital. They saved my leg.
Wow.
They were going to, it was a degloving. They had to deglove me 3 times because the tissue kept on burning or dying. And they gloved me down to the bone in my ankle and they had to do a skin graft. But I didn't have a big enough space in the back for a skin graft because I was 119 pounds.
Your
So
butt
they had to
wasn't
do my,
big enough.
no, no. They had to do my thigh. Hey, but I had muscle.
There you go. Hey, listen, being a bartender and a waitress, way, way back in the day,
Oh yeah.
Texas made the law 18 for 1973 for the legal age for drinking.
Oh,
And I, as an entrepreneur, was with a woman, and we actually ran a bar, and had a great clientele, but it's hard work.
oh, it is. But
Yeah.
it's fun. You
Oh,
meet so many different people. That's what I liked about it. From so many
you should be
different
able to
people.
get a sociology degree if you're a bartender or a waitress. Automatically, every university should, if you're a waitress, bartending, ever done that, you should automatically qualify for a sociology degree.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
to meet people. I used to look at it as being a single mom, waitressing tables on a Friday night. I was out on a Friday night. I was making sure everyone was having a good meal and a good time, and if they gave me a good tip, like on a Tuesday night, I take my kids out. I'm like, yeah, we get to go out to eat. And then I'd always tip the waitress like a $5 tip. And she's like, that's a lot. And I'm like, look, I do what you do. And
Yeah.
tonight I made enough
Yeah.
money to take my kids out, and you work as hard as me. So here you go. And that's how we
Excellent.
need to be, is like, okay, my dad owns his own business. Okay. And I did work for the family for a bit. Nah, it didn't work out with my uncle and whatnot. But, and then my dad, for his business, he knows everybody around town and always wanted to hook me up for a job. And I'm like, no, I can do it myself. I don't need to name drop my dad, or my uncle or my whatever. I'm not that type of person to do that. And because I want to do my own, I want to make it on my own way, so I'm self-sufficient, because I've been a single mom. Okay, I've never been married. um my son's father, I knew my whole life, but he got hooked into drugs and I had to walk away when I
Mm-hmm.
was 24. That was hard, especially in the 80s, no,
Yeah.
90s. And I looked like I was a teenager, so that was even worse, because I looked like a teenage pregnant mom and I was 24, and I'm kind of like, thank you, but oh my gosh.
As I look back now, 24 seems like a teenager.
Yeah, it does totally, because my
It
daughter
does.
turned 24 just last
It
month.
does.
It, you know,
So
but
what I really enjoy, Sherry, about what you're speaking about is that this is life. And these are the lessons of life that turn into wisdom. And I say this more and more. If you reach that age, which they say is seniors, it's a state of mind, but it's also quite a grace to be able to grow older, because we got time to assimilate all these experiences and then begin to internalize them as to what has life taught us about. Your lessons are exactly life.
exactly. Yeah, I walked through life, and I
Yeah,
actually had to learn how to walk again. Let me tell you,
literally.
when you're 32 years old and you literally have to physically think of how to walk again, that is horrible. So anybody that, please just like be careful. Okay. If someone's gonna steal your
So I have
car,
to ask
let
this.
them do it.
Did you get your truck back?
Oh yeah, I got it back, and it went, Wayne. It was so rough though. I was awake the whole time in the hospital. I felt all the pain, and then I was consoling my roommate. I'm consoling some of the doctors sometimes. I'm like, I don't know what the heck, why I was, and then I had to move back with my parents. I was in a hospital bed because I had to wear the burn garment. But I had to learn how to walk before I left the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a cane. Hospitals give you the most ugly canes. I still
Yeah.
have it.
I got
And
a really cool one from all my knee surgery. So,
yeah, oh yeah, no, I got a good scar going, that tells a good story. And but I had my two kids, and th- I had to live for my kids, because I was okay, for Halloween one time, I dressed up like a guy, did the makeup, I looked like I had a scruffy beard, had long hair, put a do-rag on, I wore my hockey shirt and just some work boots and jeans. And I kid you not, I showed up at work. Everybody thought I was my kid's father. They were like, "Who's your dad?" And I was like, "It's me, you guys." This guy almost fell off the bar stool, and and even my own father did not know it was me. My mom was out of town. We went over there, and he opened up the door and he goes, "Who is?" And I go, "Dad, it's me." And he goes, "Oh my God, you can get arrested like that. Get in the house." I'm like, "Dad, it's Halloween." So yeah, because I used to tell the kids I'm mom and dad, because that's what I was. I had to learn to be both. And it was like being a tomboy and growing up, I learned the masculine side of life. Masculine side. I didn't know masculine energy. I didn't know and the feminine was like, I don't know, it was really hard being an empath, growing up and hearing or feeling people's thoughts or their, thoughts while they're looking at you talking one way, but you know what's going on behind them. And it just did make me
When
feel
I was 12
uncomfortable.
years old, my girlfriend was a tomboy. Beat the
I was
crap out of me, but
Hey, I learned how to do that because my dad was a boxer, no boys, me being
oh,
the oldest. I
whoa.
asked my dad to teach me how to box because I didn't want to be chased by the boys for the cootie kisses because I was busy playing with rocks by the tree, creating houses. Seriously, I used to do houses in the dirt. And actually, I've studied like earth housing. That's a good thing. And I've studied about like the tiny houses. I've studied but the earth houses are so cool. I've studied like dome housing. I've been studying different kind of houseware because I've been looking at what's been happening coming in the earth, and our changes. It's like, don't be afraid. Why I got afraid in 2015 was not because of the earth. It's because of the people is why I got afraid.
Well, looking back in 2015, I don't talk about my political life, but we just have to be real candid. I mean, from 2009, when Barack Obama was elected, there was a faction of our population that became very fearful, and with right cause. And as you can recall, well, thank you, Good Money Jones. Thank you. And if you look back on the television programming, look at A&E, National Geographic, the theme then were survivalist. And you would have those shows where families were preparing for the apocalypse. And because what they never wanted to admit to, that there was a black man in the White House running the United States government. That was still a shock. And then you had this whole mindset that there was something going on in the heavens. I mean, listen, I've been hearing the Nibiru story for a while, and it goes in cycles. But then we saw Jade Helm. And listen, what people don't understand about military assets, it takes years to move assets and put them in the position that you want. Now, I still contend that Jade Helm was not a practice. It was one of the greatest, illusions that were given to the American people. You want to say something? Go ahead.
That's what got me. And it got my kid because it got my kid.
Yeah.
And it was getting other people, and if it wasn't getting them by knowing that, it was getting them on an energetic level that they started becoming angry and mean and fearful and just strange, but I knew that this was coming because if you're ripping off stuff and people that it's called no more sense, or I said that wrong, fence sitting. So if you were a fence sitter and you went to here's the best one. Went to church on Sunday for your hour of blessings.
Sure.
And then after that, you were mean, honking to everybody to get out of the parking lot of the church. Well, you didn't learn that.
I've seen that a few times. They get the finger. You're going, wait a minute. You were just.
Oh, that's so bad.
It's like, well, where's this love thing? Hey, buddy, that's you. You're going, yeah, you're Jesus too. I mean, I actually saw literally a fight in a church parking lot over a parking space.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
This was during this period.
Crazy.
So I get exactly where you were at. Now, what's so odd is that and this is the crazy thing about this reality that we're in, is that we have seen now the exact opposite taking place, but with a different reaction. Where we were preparing for the long run, now you have this anarchy that has arisen in our country. And it's very strange. So you're in 2015, you see this, you're going out and you're saying, all right, the end is coming. What do we do now?
Oh, I was like ready to hightail, like doing all the doomsday, prepper stuff. And I
thank you, Brian.
what I did was watching things like that because of I was curious what people were up to. Why I watched certain shows was not because I wanted to. I was wanting to see curiosity, what fear factors out there to put out there that I'm going to pick up intuitively, and it's going to so I have to balance me. And that's what
Hmm.
everyone needs to do. We have to take our own personal, because I never knew that go inside thing forever. Okay,
Yeah.
go inside, even from Christian church all the way to all the other indigenous people. And it used to upset me. I'm like, I don't know what they mean because I can meditate and nothing happened. I feel better, but I don't get an answer. And then finally one day it dawned on me that I was trying too hard. Somebody said, "You're trying too hard." And I went like, what do you mean? So you just relax, breathe, and just go inside. And my Reiki teacher put it best. When you're meditating, pretend you have a broom because we're going to think of stuff and just brush it aside as you're breathing in and out. Just brush it aside, let it come in and brush it aside. Well, for me, I felt like I needed, those industrial like floor brooms with a big, I kid you not. I'm like, everyone else is probably like, that's it. And I'm like, I gotta move these thoughts aside
For
because
some reason, I'm
it's just
hearing Mark Wapner thinking, we've got to move these refrigerators. We
because
got a little
that's what I
MTV
felt
going
like.
on here.
I did. I'm just like, oh no. I tell my mom sometimes when I call her, like, there's some days I'd like to get like away from me because there's so many things going on inside. If everyone can ever tap into my head, they're only going to be there for like a few split seconds and go that way because they're going to get lost because this gets confusing in there.
Sherry, I so appreciate your demeanor and your spirit. It's one that I marvel at, because there are many out there that you're expressing exactly, I think, what many feel. So I have a question for you. In your life journey thus far, have you seen, because what I find is remarkable is your tenacity of spirit, how you've approached life even when you were coming in and identifying who Sherry really was. Um, have you ever questioned yourself why the female perspective? I mean, I think as I've gotten older, I think it's really odd how we go through this temporal plane, male, female.
Right.
And it no matter how much the male tries to get in touch to the feminine side, you're still always going to be male.
Yeah, I got that. I got the question. I figured
Yeah.
that out. I went to a women's, it's called the Sisterhood, or wait, the Lemurian Sisterhood.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, thing. Went there and it's by let's see, Dr. Wolf. And so I went to
In
this.
sheep's
I didn't know.
clothing.
Pardon me?
Was it Dr. Wolf?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Amber Wolf. Yeah.
Okay.
It was at Lee Carroll, and he does the channel of Cryon. I found him, but when I did find him, that was years ago, but it was too intense for me because I knew that I had to go on my little path of study and reading before I could get to there. So I knew he was there, but I had to wait. So in 2014, they came to Michigan, Grand Rapids. I went over there and was like by myself. Didn't know what, I'm like, okay, let's see how it is in person, and it was awesome. And then that night, I'm like, well, what the heck is this? Women's Sisterhood of Lemuria. Okay, I got money. I'll go do that too. Wow, that was profound. So in that, as it was the beginning of the conception when she started doing this, she did it in 2000 or no, 11, 11, 11. And then she did it again, but like this was just building. So at the time, us women, I think there was like 74 of us was in there. And I didn't understand the feminine divine, hardly any really, because it's just been like
I don't think many
tomboyish.
men understand the feminine divine.
Well, what it is an energy. Actually, it's a wisdom of the feminine wisdom, and that's more of the softness, the mother, the intuition, the compassion, caring for the children, birthing the children, being like, oh my gosh, my son's hurt, and then run outside and oh my gosh, my son is really hurt. Mother's intuition. So we're connected to that, and one thing we are connected to is we're physically, but our brains are connected in the back of the lobe because of that, because of their men are not. connected with.
No. And as you were saying, may I interject? When I pass through the other side to the life portal, I've got to question the elders on the other side. Is, you see, I understand something that's so unique about women, and that is this ability that your gender has been blessed with, granted for whatever, is the passing on of physical life. I mean, I'll tell you what I see sometimes. Sure, I wrote this to a person. I see images that are very difficult for me to comprehend, and it takes a while. I've been seeing more and more where the feminine is concerned. There is something about this birthing. So that's what I see as a male perspective of something that I'm very envious that I cannot touch, nor can I experience.
Right, the birthing
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
I sent you that song, remember?
yeah,
I
yeah,
did do a video and I
yeah.
did put it on there. Now I'm getting embarrassed, but
No,
anyways,
don't. No. You're speaking from the heart. It's the
because
spirit.
that coincide what you were saying, and I've been doing that for years. I'm like, wow, look at that synchronicity. But what
Yes.
I found out is because I didn't understand the women, like why are we having kids and why, especially with me, I'm not married. And what happened to that? Well, I guess, and it wasn't like, I'm out there, woohoo, and stuff. That wasn't it. It was people I knew. It's just that they had, I have to correct that.
Thank you,
Just gotta make
420. I'm sorry.
I had morals. My friends did.
There was
Anyways,
a
that's a different.
picture running across the frontal lobe of my brain.
I had fun, but not that kind.
Exactly.
I
That's right.
had my morals.
Gotta have them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that compass
Totally.
has got to
Totally.
spin somewhere. So
Especially in
continue.
the 80s. Anyways, I don't even remember what I was saying.
Well, we were talking about the uniqueness of women in the birthing aspect.
Yeah, and the birthing aspect of it.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, the hospitals, I can say this personally, for a while, when I had my two older kids, they didn't do the birthing correctly. A woman needs to be able to crouch in a way and push and bear down, like, if she's in a, kind of like this, a sitting position, whether you got your back and stuff. When I had them in the olden days, and a lot of women will remember, you either laying flat on your back or you got your legs up on some bar that goes up and you're grabbing on for dear life. That's not the process. It's horrible. That's horrible for the woman. That's horrible for the child because a child's picking
Well,
up
some man
stuff.
had to think of that. That's all I got to say.
He did. I mean, somebody, I don't know, but the two of them, I have to say, with my other son, they did it right. They have a thing that breaks down, so the woman is in calm lights and music and whatever you need. And if you want family, you can have it. If you don't, and you're in a more position. But see, what I learned is like a long time ago, like way super long ago, 50,000 years ago and whatnot, the women, and why the women, because when people were, okay, I can't get emotional about this, but I can feel it. The women used to get together while the birthing process. There was a song, there were certain ones, they would probably be like the shaman women, okay?
Wow, that
And they
would be
would hold
powerful.
hands and they would sing and hold the mother as the baby was born in the salt water, okay, warm salt water, because it's coming from the uterus water to the salt water. So water to water, so it's not
That's
like
beautiful.
shock culture of like, oh my God, bright lights, pick them upside down, spank them on the bum, or whatever, clean them up, shoot them up, just.
Well, let's just talk about that because that is such common sense, which is not common. To
No.
think about that, I could see a spirit coming into the world in that environment. That would be a very pleasant entry. And what you were talking about, the sterile, bright lights,
Yeah,
it's like, holy crap,
it
the
is.
kid is
It's
like,
super
I
bright.
don't want to, let me back in.
And then they got that spotlight.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I give up.
Poor kids like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh,
And so, and the thing is like, if the mother had passed, okay, during the childbirth, because that did happen then too, way back then. But she passed away knowing that her child was going to be loved and well taken care of by the women and the tribe. Okay. Because, like in this society, the tribes, the men would do the fishing. Okay. They would go out and get the food, but they would come to this group of women and go to them and say, "Hey," ask them, like, where would be the best part to go fishing? And the women would already have done their work, morning work, and be like, "Oh, go to the south side of the island." And they would go and and the women would go harbor, routes. Then there's a group of younger women, children, teenagers that take care of the children. For those that are the priest women or the shaman women that were working and they had children too, but they were taken care of by the
Yeah.
collective
Yeah.
of the children, and everything was done. And one thing was like awesome group is, and I know this is true because I right here feel it, because I was aware of stuff like when I was a kid, and I never put nothing aside ever. All the woo woo, all the hush hush, because my dad kept the door open on this. Because, like, me and my sister used to see spirits as children,
Hmm.
and my sister would see full on apparitions and freak out and run through the house. And so my dad would always say, well, there's different vibrations and there's different doors. And sometimes our doors might like be at the same time, like side by side, or they face each other. And when they do, those that are in a different vibration might see us and we might be ghost to them. And we seeing them might be ghost to them, trying to ease my sister. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting,
Now, how did your
because
father have this wisdom, this insight?
oh, it's a family thing.
Okay.
Actually my dad is okay, Vietnam. My
Okay.
dad went into the Navy, but he didn't go to Vietnam because he was tested with a photogenic memory, and he went to Cuba. Nobody knew about Cuba then. And he
Hmm.
went to Cuba and he could pick up radio waves and photogenic memory. And it was not fun as a teenager or anything because he could go to sleep and snore and he could wake up and tell you everything that happened,
Hmm.
everything in the room. And when you come home, I never was, I was late, sometimes curfew time, and stuff. And we had a ranch style house, and my dad loved his like giant flashlights and stuff. And it was like a spotlight because he would know, he would hear things, any crick. It became a game to where I was a challenge of like what crick in the house to surpass my father. And
So,
like he was a chess player. Okay, he was the 10th,
okay.
came in second in Michigan, state of Michigan one year. I learned how to play chess. I learned how to read a chess book when I was real young. Played chess till I got older. And then I found out what my dad was doing. He was prepping me to be a chess player. And then I found out in school it's not cool to be a chess player. And I was like, I'm done. Nope. But it helped me watch what has been going on
So
with
it
what's going
passed
on now.
on, the gift passed on to you.
Yeah, it helped from my grandma, his mother, because it goes through the women, I found out, but she only had four boys. So it went to my dad. Because out of the four boys, my dad's the only one with green eyes. I got green eyes. The rest of them have brown. My dad took after my grandmother, and she is her last name is Darty too, or Dirty, like Jeffrey Dirty. See, we could be cousins. You never know
Hey,
that.
Jeff. We'll have to put Jeff in touch on that.
Well, I got the Mistech bands. I support him
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's one reason why I went to his show was because I saw you and Jeff on Rex. In January, I got back on YouTube. I was looking at fairy houses, then all of a sudden Rex popped up, and I was like, okay. And before I got off from offline, I did see Rex when he got online because I remember because I was like, wait a minute, I know this guy. I just because I don't forget faces. And then
Hmm.
to see him and then seeing you, and I was like, oh, I like what you have to say. I'm coming to your channel. And I went to Jeff's. I didn't know what he was about. I went because of his last name.
Okay.
Just it was like mine, a Doherty, Irish. But yeah, so it comes from my grandma's side. And my grandma was like that. And
Okay.
she's with animals and intuitive. And her mother, I found out, my great grandma was so like that. I didn't know she had a Ouija board from the old country. I, that came from, I don't know where I think Ireland or something. I have no idea. I didn't know this. I didn't know that my dad brought it from the house that I loved living in, my great grandma's house, when I was up until I was 5 in Ann Arbor. and we moved to a smaller town next door, kind of country, and that house was haunted. And me and my sister got into, oh yeah, and it still is to this day.
Hmm.
And because my dad will tell me to come up and pick up my ghosts, and I'm like, they're not mine. You can keep them. So yeah, this has been us, and my mom doesn't like that kind of stuff because she's always like, no. She grew up Presbyterian, and she's from Rhode Island, the East Coast. But come to find out, from my mom being from the East Coast, she's seen the flying saucers out there, but she doesn't want to talk about it. You
Yeah,
know?
it's odd that you mentioned that. I worked all day on a video I'm doing, and it's I'm coming to some conclusions here. If in fact what I'll be reporting on happened, and I do believe I made some calls today. Um, this may sound odd, but it may be humanity's last hope that we get back to the pagans, we get back to the empaths, the intuitives, and begin to bring this energy into a focal point to where it actually begins, in my terminology, begin to develop a portal against these. It's a class 2 civilization that we're facing, and they are badasses. It's bad, Sherry. That's all I got to say. And they have it over on us, but the one thing they don't have is this aspect of the spiritualness. They don't believe in the same God or gods of this planet. They don't believe there is a race that is looking for the divine, but for the most part, this bad group, they don't believe in God, and they have said this. In fact, of some of the abductees that they have taken that were Christian, and as it was reported, would be shouting, Jesus will be come to save me. And of course, these aliens, we would call them, a species, laughed at them and said, there is
Yeah.
no Jesus. And so they then began to pray to God. And these aliens told them, which God are you talking about? So my point is we are faced with some untenable situations here, but I'm believing the answer may lie in the very roots of our ancient ancestors, these gifts that you're talking about. And on this channel, Sue G, I could list a number of people on this channel that are empaths.
She has a spot on. She does. She really does. It's awesome. I mean, I did when I saw her on your show, I'm like, oh yes, another one. That's what we need, not to look and go, oh, look at her, or oh, look at him, or oh, this. No, look at it as another one. Yes, somebody else is getting it. Somebody else is pointing out the ugly fuglies. And why? Because we got to see the ugly to fix it. Okay. Like if you're okay, like I've been telling my mom, if you got a woman that comes in after, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound like this, after a guy has gotten into her checkbook, let's say, and messed it all up, and the woman's the one that kept the balance of everything. And then she goes back into, because my mom does the bills and checkbooks. That's why I'm using an example.
Life.
And she goes in and just gets upset because it doesn't balance out, and it's this and that. And it takes her time. It takes her paper and putting it out and going through and punching in the numbers and doing all this. And some of the younger folks are probably going, what is she talking about? But that's how people used to do it, to itinerize it. And it takes time, just like with us, everything going to icky. It's going to take time. You go to clean your house, spring cleaning, you make a mess before you can get it clean. You got to throw things out. You got to go through stuff. If you're minimizing, if you're moving, put everything of what you're doing into this larger concept from the smaller of like, if you're going to move, you want to downsize, you don't need this and that. You don't need this and that. You want to resell, throw it away or whatever, give it to somebody else, you got to do it with all this other stuff. And then you take it bigger and go, ew, look at this. Well, I can't, I'm one person. What can I do? I can find Wayne. I can find someone like Sue G. I can find someone like Rex and someone like Jeff and like Sandra D. And, and people can start finding each other because before I got online, I kept on saying, okay, universe, hire me, somebody, me, come on. The little human here is wanting to do, I feel something here, like expansive, and I'm excited, but I've had all this other stuff going on. And then I walked out and I woke up in a way, kind of looking around, going, what the heck is going on? It's only been like a year. I took a break from everything. Wow. It seems like years, but it's only been a year. It's weird. And then it's like, and then I said, I find me my tribe, please. I am going nuts. My I can only talk to my dad's on with me, but we only talk so much. It drives my mother nuts. She just says me and my dad are like woo out there. And I can't talk to my sister because she's not like that. She shut her abilities off when she was a kid, which is understandable. And so when she has bad things happen, I go, boy, universe is kicking your butt right now, isn't it? On this bad week she had. And she goes, yeah, it is. And I'm like, you'll be okay.
Gonna
We're
be
tough.
fine.
Yeah, well, we're tough because, my dad said, you got to be tough in this world. And I took it as you have to be tough, but not like tough, like beating people up or bullying your way through, but like tough in this world's tough. People are tough and people could be mean. And when you're an empath like me, and see what's happening is these new children are coming in. I've been watching it because I was a daycare. I taught preschool when I was like 19. I'm a certified child care aide. I was a nanny for Ann Arbor Nanny Corporation. And I was always around kids. And I'm 4 years older than my sister. So I always babysat and I was always around kids because they're fun. They tell the truth. And parents out there, you don't know what your children talk about. Let me tell you, you watch what you say. Because
And they do repeat.
oh, sure do. I learned so much about people. And I'm like, oh, really? And I just sit there and go, oh, wow.
I'm dating myself, but Art Linklater used to have a show, Kids Say the Darndest Things.
I love that show. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. They do.
Yeah.
And people forgot about it. So
Yeah.
I'm
And they
reminded.
do. They repeat,
But see, when I was, okay, so let's see, I was 19. Okay, this is 1986. And I was working at Kindercare Learning Center. And my 5-year-old little guy, William, he's a grown up now somewhere, but he was smart. And I looked into his eyes and I saw brilliant intelligence. And it was like, what? And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And I ran around and told my friends, I'm like, and they're like, oh, Sherry, you're always so weird. And I said, no, you guys know me. When I look in someone's eyes, I can see certain things beyond what normal people can see. And I don't care if people think I'm nuts. This is me. I got to live with me. Because when I did hang out with my friends and conversed and acted like everybody else, joined everybody else, I actually got sick, like sick, the flu, lay down in bed sick, because I couldn't hang with my friends like everybody else. And then I realized that I was carrying everybody else's energy, carrying everybody else's garbage, carrying everybody else's stuff. And then when I realized it wasn't just me, that everybody does that. And like, when you go into the grocery store and you're happy and all of a sudden you walk out angry and you don't know why, because you just picked up somebody's angry energy and then somebody else is angry and somebody else is angry. So you just walk through this anger field and then it's on you. And then you're like, wanting to get it off from you because you don't know why you're mad and stuff. And you can actually do that. Seriously, you can actually brush yourself and crosswise off the energy and fling it off from you. Seriously. And you can visualize that you're just brushing off what you just walked through. You don't want it anymore. I mean, it's so simple that we can clean ourselves of aura or energies or auras or merkabas.
I've never heard anyone teach on, now I've heard the esoteric side, but I mean, actually cleaning off excess energy, the kind that,
yeah, you can clean it many ways.
it's like dust, dust will be attracted to any surface.
Yeah, you can clean it many ways. Well, like, okay, if you're, I don't know if anyone likes spiders or not, and if they get the willies from the spiders and they're kind of like, the spider and whatnot, that you're just shaking it off. You're shaking, so it's energy shaking it off. And I've learned from other people, or like taking the energy. I learned from my one Reiki class that when you're doing this and you're just kind of bouncing your hand lightly up and down, you can feel energy blocks where your hand feels like it's resisting. So if you're just pushing down and bouncing and you have some really good music going along with it, and if you're in your heart, you can just sit there and push it all the way down to the ground and then like hit the ground. And then do it to your backside if you can, as best you can, your sides, and hit the ground. So you're just sending it back to Pachamama, the earth, because she's here to take care of this stuff. And like, she's not going to hold the negative energy for us. She's here to like mill it up, recycle it. She
Well,
knows that her
she
kids don't
actually
need it.
uses it for exactly what energy is supposed to be, positive and negative. You have to have both in order to have a current.
Yeah. Yeah. It's everything's a cycle.
Yeah.
Like
And
us breathing in from the trees, we can breathe out. If you want to connect with the trees, when you put your tongue to the roof of your mouth and you do that breathe in with your nose with the tongue up there, you're making like a T shape. When the Mayans teach us, it's like a T. So we got the nose, the pineal gland goes across here, so it's the letter T. And so you're bringing it in and you're blocking it with your tongue, so it's going right where it needs to go, and it will go down into you and loop up back around, and then so we'll make a circle around you and your chakras and stuff, and come back around, and then when that, and then you do a T sound, and as you're blowing out to the trees with your hands up. That's all you have to do. That's it. And someone had asked in our class, when we were learning from my Mayan elder, like, well, what do we do to give back? What do we say? And he looked at her and he goes, nothing, because we're exchanging already. We're breathing in, we're sending out. We have our hands up, we're receiving, and we're also giving. We're just honoring something that we naturally do anyways. Just like walking on the grass or even cutting your grass. Okay, when you're mowing your lawn, you know what? You could do this. Ask the grass, or tell the grass to yourself or to the grass, I need to cut you. Can I have permission to cut you? And the grass will, well, yeah, I look beautiful when I'm trimmed. Cut the grass. You're going to have better grass. When you're, just really simple, silly things, to the flowers. I love flowers. And I put flowers on both sides of our because our neighbors, and we have separate entrances. And I decided this year I'm going to do both sides, and then I'm just going to go all out and put it. And come to find out, my neighbor's mother had come from Mexico, and she has not seen her mother since she moved here in, I think, 17 years. And she goes, oh, these flowers are beautiful. These ones that you've got here are in Mexico. They grow in Mexico, and my mother's coming. And I went, what? Really? I didn't know that. I had no clue. But in my heart, I wanted to do this. So there I did something extra beautiful. And then when people pull in, they see it and they're all like, oh my gosh, it looks really nice. And other neighbors started fixing up their place on the outside, and then it became, and then others wanted to make it a gardening contest. And I'm like, no, I'm not like that. You got a gorgeous garden too. I'm simple. I just plant whatever I feel like I want to go in, like talks to me or communicates and looks pretty, and just stick it in there. And they grow.
As you were talking, as bad as things are, and I've been writing some notes as we've been talking, there is a possible escape if humankind, can learn to communicate to the lost kingdoms, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom.
Yes.
They very well may have the answer for us in this time of great dilemma that our species finds.
Okay, my elder, I don't know if you can see it. This is
Yeah.
a quartz crystal. It's called,
Yeah.
This is Malalika. Okay, you're a computer person, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how much information's been put in this already?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and she's, I don't know, and I have a bigger one, Sanji, that's 6 pounds. Okay, he's been around. He's been in a lot of ancient ceremonies, and they've been attuned with ancient skulls, ancient ones that have come from Atlantis and whatnot. So, and I'll tell you what, he was pretty heavy trug up. I pilgrimed up this mountain, walking with a backpack up to the Serpent's Mound because there was 2,000 people there. And this is what happens to me. I get to the top and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really working this. And I went down to Ohio by myself. I got lost and everything else. I'm like, I need a paper map. GPSs I knew weren't going to work.
You were in Mexico lost?
No, not Mexico,
Oh.
in Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. That's gonna. Well, even Ohio can be pretty scary. Trust me, I've been to Columbus.
The Appalachian Mountains, man. I tell you what, woo, the magnetic forces in there is that it messes up the GPS. And by the Serpent's Mound, it's a crater from when an asteroid hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a piece of the isotope.
Interesting.
We got to see where the crater smashed, and you can see it's just totally just straight up. I mean, we had the tour of the whole place. But yeah, the first time I went to the Serpent's Mound though, and I took these skulls, I get up to the top, and this guy pulls up in a pickup truck and he goes, "Hey honey, what's going on here?" And he looks around and he goes, "Oh, it looks like you got a lot of, Native American stuff going on." And I said, "Yeah." And I was out of breath, and I'm thinking, if he would have showed up like, I don't know, 10 minutes earlier, I could have said, "Could I hop in the back of your truck and drive me up there, please?"
Listen, nothing comes free.
No, it does
cost a price.
That day was a round trip. It was 639-mile round trip.
In one day?
In one day. Yeah, I got up early that morning and drove down there and back because I went to a class on another mountain. I lost my favorite shirt that I bought that was made by a Native American from the Northwest. It was a pullover poncho that I got when my daughter was born. That was left there. And my jeans was left there because I changed into my white outfit for the ceremonies because that's what we got in the email. Come to find out, when we made it to the Serpent's Mound, and after everything all was done, ceremonies, my elder, who became my elder later, told everyone, chastised everybody. "Oh, I see that everyone got the email to show up, but nobody read the part of wearing the white outfit for the ceremony." And I was like, I read the email. I was in my white. So everybody thought I was part of the school that was doing it, the Mystic Cosmic School, because somehow I got up in with them. And somehow I was behind this beautiful, beautiful, oh my gosh, his name's George, and he's North Dakota, Native American, really, really super tall, like 6 foot. And he played the drum in his voice, in his song. And I knew it. I knew the song. I sang with him, even though in my mind I'm standing going, I don't know this song. Where did I know this? This is such a good song. I love the, and I did it. So I don't know. I can step.
So you lost your pants though.
Yeah, I lost my pants and my shirt. And I tell you what, when I was getting gas, all I had was this tiny little shawl to go around. And on top of a mountain, it started to rain, cold winds were blowing them at the gas station going, oh my gosh, this is so worth it. It's got to be so worth it. It's so cold out here. But it was okay.
Well, 600 miles in one day, my butt would be sore.
I did it because I didn't have the money to go camp, and I didn't have the money. So I could only do, some people I've noticed complain like, I wish I could do that. Okay. I live on a very, very limited income. I've been disabled since I was 32. So actually I am so disabled, honestly, that I cannot hold a job. So I have not actually physically worked a job because in the summertime I can move, but in the wintertime I've got degeneration, 2 in the neck, one, a real big one in the back, and one down in the thing. And then I got my whole body scanned. And then they're like, oh, you got some in the shoulder blade and your hips are all this and that. And I'm like, really? That's nice.
Talk to Sue G. She can help you on some of we got some psychic healers, and it works. I know that it works.
I will talk to her because I need sometimes us healers need each other. We can't just do it just because we have it. Sometimes it don't totally work for us. We have to go to each other.
Yeah, we do. Well, Sherry, the hour has gone by like that.
That's super bad.
Well, we'll have you back on. We'll get a round table. And seriously, this is how we work with each other. So I'll put it when I repost this for everyone. I'll put your channel on there. But go ahead and tell people right now where they can go over and we can subscribe to your channel and
It's
support
just
you and help you grow.
it's Sherry Spears, Sherry Spears, Spears. That's me.
Okay. All right. And I'll put the link in there. And I just want to thank you. I mean, so often, we get so involved and so, wrapped up in, I know I speak for myself on this, you get into just reading and we forget sometimes that we're all connected to one another. And I so appreciate people like yourself, Brian, um, Sue. Just I could just go and list so many others, Claudette, the ones that I know through the years that we've gotten to know each other serendipitously, but nevertheless we've gotten to know each other, and there is a sense of a tribe. I like that. Sometimes I hear the word family, but I think tribe is more accurate of a term that I think many of us are looking for. As you said, where is my tribe?
Where is my tribe? And you guys all appeared, and here's my tribe.
Yeah.
So thank you, tribe. Thank you,
Well,
Wayne.
thank you, tribe. I mean, everyone,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you. And again, go to Sherry's channel. Let's support her, subscribe to it. And again, to the rest of y'all, Sue G, go to her channel, and Brian over at Milky Way Weekly. I just appreciate everyone, and we'll see you Sunday over on Jeff Doherty's channel at the Not Your Normal Sunday Morning. And
favorite mornings.
it's always fun. This one I think is going to be even more fun. We're going to be
awesome.
Yes. And hey, Suji, you're the best. I really do appreciate you. And let's have you back on. I've enjoyed this. I'd like to get some of the other people on here.
Yes.
Yeah,
that
maybe
sounds
just,
good. Yeah.
Let's just have what we used to have back in the 60s, the old coffee houses.
Yeah.
I was a toddler. I mean, I've been on my own for a very long time, but I remember Barry McGuire, and I was just 14, but the coffee houses were a great place to really where people communicated. It's where I learned philosophy.
Yeah. My mom, I mean, when I was younger, the women all sat at one table and talked while the kids got their chocolate milk, or white milk, and a donut. And they got to, do their thing. And the men would say, I miss that. You go in coffee shops now and everyone's got their computers, their phones, and they're all just kind of like, oh, you're in my space. Kind of I'm sorry, people that do that. I don't mean to offend anybody, but we all know it's people to people. We need people to people. And right now, this is the only way that we can reach out, because our tribe is kind of spread out. We're spread out, but you know what? That's okay.
Yeah. I mean, in one way, technology sometimes isolates communication, but I still say that we have mediums like this, and it is a medium that we can come together, we can converse, we can intermix our energies, and there's a bond that is formed. And I appreciate it.
And it's a tool. Just remember that it's a tool that you're using, and we're using it. It's not bad. It's not evil. It's just something that we're using to communicate with each other and to get some information. Anything else beyond that?
I love this. Sherry, thank you for just bringing a ray of sunshine, the gift of laughter. And, that's what life's about. It's the small moments like this that I always say that they have become the power packs, that when we have moments when we're down, we can open these up and they'll give us a lift.
Yes. And laughter crosses the veil. Laughter goes throughout the universe. It's a high vibration. It goes across everywhere. So keep on laughing. It's a good thing.
Listen, I have told people as we end this, that Don Knotts left laughing. I think we all can as well. Sherry, thank you again. We will see you again real soon. Everyone, thank you for being here. We will see you again real soon. Be good to yourselves, folks. All right. Thank you, Sherry. We'll talk soon.